Very quickly Deep then did not hesitate, jumped up, he used force to leap high into the air. Deep then pointed his sword straight toward Ngayat Nhi. He rushed down, shouting loudly, "Senior sister, here I come!" The great sources of power continuously burst out, operating endlessly around their battle. Profound shadow heaven speed. Ngayat Nhi quickly raised two fingers, pressing firmly at the source of Deep then's power, thinking in her mind, marvelous body technique. She jumped high to dodge, gritting her teeth, extending her hand to counter back, move away. His sword was large, wrapped in fire. The magic power of Ngayat Nhi struck directly at it. Deep then tilted swiftly, dodging the light on his left chest, expanded thunder palm. She was shocked, frozen for a moment, staring at Deep. Then sweat began to drip from Ngayat Nhi's forehead, her eyes anxious, murmuring, "Too strong." Both moved fast toward each other, both extended hands clashing violently, producing flickering black lightning. Then, because both powers were too strong, colliding, it caused an explosion between them. She could not endure anymore, being blown away by the destructive force. Ngayat Nhi struggled to balance herself. She stared blankly at him, thinking, truly a monster. Deep then also was thrown far away, but quickly regained spirit. His hands began to gather strength again, charging toward Ngayat Nhi, shouting, "Come on!" She leaned aside, one hand clenched, one hand extended, repeating her earlier move, releasing her power, shouting, "Ice, snow finger." Deep then pointed both hands forward. Strong flames shot out like rockets toward the target. Go! Ngayat Nhi also quickly released her magic weapon. Both fiercely clashed again. Tufuk, standing from afar observing with delight, exclaimed, full of youthful vigor, suppressing each other's sharpness. Good! Both tried their best to resist. Ngayat Nhi's strength was not ordinary. Touching his fire caused a dazzling explosion. Hit smoke still curled around her body. Ngayat Nhi became more determined, aiming straight at Deep, not at all tired. Still smiling happily, speaking, "Close combat, huh?" Not letting Ngayat Nhi approach Deep, then rushed in fast, clashing again, creating another loud explosion. Praising smart, because of much greater strength, he was not affected much, gritting his teeth, swinging his hand across her face. Ngayat Nhi, frightened, leaned back, dodging, seeing her careless movement. Deep then became more excited, proud, smirking, not wasting any chance. As quick as lightning, he flashed without a trace, saying, "Now." Deep then swiftly jumped, standing upright on her body. Ngayat Nhi was lying flat, unable to react, eyes wide in shock. Tufuk stood far away, watching attentively, pressing his lips, secretly praising his talent. "Good kid, really underestimated you, except for that brat from Din Thien Duong. This is the first time I have seen Ngayat Nhi so miserable. You can defeat more than half of the true disciples from the two peaks." Enhan Duong, not without reason, her face darkened, filled with fear, looking at Deep. Then he quickly grabbed both her ears with his hands, using all his strength. Deep then flung her high up, clearly intending to throw her aside. His face excited, shouting loudly, throwing Ngayat Nhi far from him, causing friction to create a long trail of fire. The corner of her mouth began to bleed. Ngayat Nhi stood trying to breathe, thinking, so embarrassing, did not expect this rogue's close combat secret art to be so overbearing. She straightened one hand before her chest, one hand raised high, imagining a rushing waterfall, shouting, "Great ocean, spiritual spring." Massive water surged like a tidal wave, rushing in. Deep then, full of firepower, was completely surprised, stammering, "True flame out." Unable to dodge, he was struck by the strong water force, pressed straight down to the rocky ground. Seeing the situation slightly better, Ngayat Nhi sighed with relief, muttering, "Being able to force me to use secret art." Deep, then that is already enough for you to be proud. Not resting even a second, suddenly something made her open eyes wide in surprise from the fierce water, still pressing Deep. Then he burst out from inside, rapidly shouting, "Break!" She froze, raising her head, stammering what after escaping. Deep then aimed his sword, diving down as fast as lightning. The sharp blade flew straight, pointing right at Ngayat Nhi's face, then stopped right before touching, making her stunned, thinking impossible. The attack had stopped. He held the heavy sword firmly, pointing at her. Deep then, cheerfully smiling, announced, "Senior sister, you lost." She was shocked, speechless. The battle ended quickly. He forcefully threw the sword, stabbing straight into the ground, exclaiming, "So tired." Deep then knelt down, one hand on the sword supporting his body, lifting his head, eyes closed, breathing out, thinking, truly the disciple taught by Tufuk is not simple. If I did not have true flame, I would have lost. Tufuk folded his hands behind his back, slowly walked to him, saying, "Good kid, you surprised this old man." Deep then grinned slyly, replying, "Just luck." He laughed loudly, agreeing. Look at you, so proud. After a while, Tufuk stopped laughing, glanced behind, speaking to remind Ngayat Nhi, you must know Mountain High still has higher mountain skilled people above skilled people. This loss, go reflect carefully. Ngayat Nhi respectfully nodded, calmly admitting fault. Yes, master. Disciple accepts teacher's teaching. Tufuk nodded, giving orders. Step down. She quietly walked gently, both hands hugging herself, looking around, thinking, though only 3 moves, but each contained secrets surpassing others. With my current cultivation still losing to 1 at condensate stage, if he had same level as me, I surely would lose already. Just this proves I am not as good. She turned her head to look at the 2 men. He still stood happily talking with Deep. Then brat, your reward will not be lacking. Deep, then unable to keep his image anymore, shouted, satisfied elder. You said it must do that. Her eyes watched their actions, full of focus, slightly sad, silently blaming herself. I was too arrogant. The night sky was full of silence. The bright moonlight shone on a peaceful space. A huge incense burner with a strange shape appeared. Tufuk stood there, stretching his hand out, throwing something into its round circle. As if something was activated, a round blue pearl shot out, forming a pill. He held the flame and the pearl floating in his hand, bringing it in front of Deep. Then, the boy happily shouted, let me see. Deep then slowly reached his hand toward it. But before he could touch it, the stick of Tufuk struck his hand. He looked at him with dead fish eyes, speechless. Tufuk calmly turned his head to scold. What is there to see? Refine it yourself. You want to get beaten for moving hands and feet, huh? He seriously looked toward him, eyes firm, asking, saw the whole process clearly right. Deep then rubbed the back of his head, replying, indeed harder than Hoi Hyen Dan, but I think no problem. Tufuk began to feel disgusted with his proud expression. Angrily hit Deep, then making him shout. Why hit me? Tufuk calmly said, seeing your smug face annoys me. What are you looking at? Go refine. He turned and walked out. Deep then turned his back to him, lips tight. Both hands tried to form fire power. After reaching a certain level, Deep then sent that power toward the golden furnace. True flame, go. It seemed he encountered some problem during the process. The whole night the room echoed with Deep then's voice. Oh, again, still not working? I don't believe it. He clenched his teeth, gasping for breath, throwing out a burst of flame. Deep then kept persevering non-stop. Unexpectedly, Ngayat Nhi was standing outside, quietly watching him. Suddenly, the blue circle from before distorted. It mixed with some orange color of Deep then's flame. Not good. Before he could react, that place quickly lost control and exploded. Deep then exhaled helplessly, saying nothing. Ngayat Nhi slowly walked up from behind him, speaking, haste makes waste, rest a bit. Hearing her words, Deep then doubted. It seemed during that time Ngayat Nhi told him something that made him shout in disbelief. Refining pills requires technique. He sat cross-legged on the edge, holding a water container. She stood arms folded, leaning on a pillar, asking, heard you are still a trainee disciple. Deep then slowly lowered the water bottle. Eyes looked at her, sighing. No choice. The heads of the 3 main peaks are all there. No one wants to accept me. I can only be a trainee. Hearing that she said, now they must regret terribly. He did not care much, closing his eyes lightly, raising a hand to his forehead, speaking loudly, regret or not I don't know, but lately they tricked me not lightly. Ngayat Nhi still stood there not far, saying, with your strength, entering inside should not be hard. She tilted slightly, her gaze somewhat different, praising, your strength outside at least ranks among the top 10. Deep then immediately sat upright, hands pressed down, asking, senior sister, disciples in the top 10 outside, who are they? Tell me. Ngayat Nhi leaned on the pillar, lifting one leg behind, explaining, except me. Even though the 3 main peaks each have their rank, the chief disciple Don Kai Bin of the criminal hall counts as one. Strength not related to virtue. Deep then fearlessly said, Don Kai Bin, just a lowly man, continue. Then there is Chief Disciple Vuong Lam of the Spirit Fruit Garden, Chief Disciple of the Law Enforcement Hall Tiu Kan, Chief Disciple of the Scripture Pavilion Luke Hyen Nhi, Chief Disciple of the Mission Tower Hok Dang. Her face darkened, a mocking smile appeared. In outer competitions, if not meeting them, then no problem. Of course, if unlucky to meet them, then cannot avoid. At that moment Guide Nhi turned to look at him. Deep then hearing her words could not help but laugh foolishly. She asked, "What are you laughing at? When senior sister is not angry, you look very beautiful. Like that you look like a girl." Guide Nhi blushed red. She slapped him hard, shouting, "Go refine your pills." The night quickly came again. Peaceful atmosphere appeared. Inside the house an unexpected voice echoed, "This is True Young Pill." Tufuk held a small box in his hand, handed it to Guide Nhi saying, "It may help you break through to True Young stage." She happily clasped her hands, replying, "Thank you, master." Tufuk looked at her standing nearby, slowly asked, "Guide Nhi, what do you think of that boy?" Deep then, she still holding the treasure eyes, not leaving it, answered him, "He surprised me." Tufuk hearing that became serious, turning to her saying, "I am not asking that. I ask what kind of person he is." Hearing that her body stiffened, face slightly red, Guide Nhi shyly angry shouted at Tufuk, "Oh master, you talk about this again. You are so annoying." He laughed heartily saying, "Fine, not talking." While they were chatting, a loud voice came from the other side, catching their attention. "Pill formed." Deep then sat satisfied on the ground, holding a blue pill, happily exclaimed, "Refined already." Tufuk turned looking at him shocked, thinking, "Used just over 50 parts of herbs and already refined. This boy's innate talent is monstrous." Deep then could not hold back his laughter, holding the pill near his face, speaking, "Finally done." Without hesitation he threw the blue pill straight into his mouth. Immediately a blue aura surrounded his body. He closed his eyes, sitting cross-legged meditating. Worthy of soul pill, indeed excellent effect. The power gradually spread, growing larger and tighter. Deep then sat still motionless. Tufuk and Guide Nhi slowly approached behind him, suddenly exclaiming, "Breakthrough! Only breakthrough to 9th level of condensate stage, yet needing such abundant spirit energy." They both looked intently at him. Tufuk calmly told her, "His Danshin is much larger than normal. Perhaps because of that he can fight across levels." Guide Nhi slightly lowered her head, thinking, "No wonder." A temple stood tall among high mountains, the sky red mixed with lightning, making the scene terrifying. The Blood Vision Hall. Inside the dark place, on the highest seat, a mysterious man sat with a frightening voice. "The spies we placed inside 3 sects and noble families, have they found any news of half the heaven extinction pill?" The subordinates trembling knelt, replying, "No, sir." Hearing that, the man furiously released flashes of power. "Useless, all useless. Keep searching. Search thoroughly." The mysterious man gritted his teeth, eyes flashing, cursing, "If still cannot find, then end your lives yourselves." Exactly 10 days later, that very night before the stone monument, "This is Deep then, huh?" 2 disciples standing behind whispered, "Who else could it be?" Crippled, more than half of the disciples from Enhan Duong Peak and Dia Duong Peak even got dragged to the discipline hall, and then forced to stay by Elder 2. Truly terrifying. The other nodded repeatedly. "Indeed." Deep then rubbed his neck with a sigh. "Are they that bored? Come on, I'm not a monkey. The outer sect tournament is coming soon. If you're so free, go practice your punches and kicks. Isn't that better, idiots?" Suddenly a man stepped forward and asked loudly, "You're Deep then, right?" Deep then froze, glancing back suspiciously. Just one look, and he already sensed the man's level. Chan Duong realm. He cautiously spoke, "Senior brother, may I ask what business you have?" T. Duong folded his arms, his tone arrogant as he greeted, "Allow me to introduce myself. I am T. Duong of the inner sect. Also, I am the cousin of T. Hao from Enhan Duong Peak." Deep then pretended to be cheerful as he replied, "Senior brother T, coming all the way from the inner sect. Surely not just to settle scores with a mere Kai condensation disciple like me, right?" T. Duong gave a sinister smile, threatening him, "You'd better stay in the Hang and Hack sect for the rest of your life. Otherwise, the T family will show you not everyone is someone you can provoke." Deep then shrank back, waving his hand, "Oh my, your breath stinks too much. You even have a piece of green onion stuck between your teeth. Do me a favor and go rinse your mouth." T. Duong wasn't angry at all. Instead he laughed loudly. Brat, such a foul mouth. But I like that. It'll be more fun when I step on you later. Deep then frowned and hurriedly waved him off. Senior brother, take care on your way. Oh heavens, that smell. The disciples nearby saw Duong leaving and began gossiping. What's that? They're still chatting and laughing. Did they make peace already? The one beside him scolded. You pig brain. Didn't you see he just threw down a challenge letter? The first one blinked in confusion. Then why were they still smiling like that? His friend sighed helplessly. Are you really this dumb? That's a smile hiding a knife. Hao was beaten like a dog. If the T family doesn't kill Deep, then for revenge. How will they ever show their face in the great S-1 EDF kingdom again? Right in front of the little spiritual courtyard came a childlike voice laughing cheerfully. Big brother, Ho-Oh grew taller again. Hung Nhi hurriedly ran out. Why so late? If you didn't come back, I was about to go to the alchemy hall to find you. Deep then reassured him. Why so anxious? I just ran into some stuff on the way back. He then wrapped an arm around Nhu Hyan's shoulder grinning. This is my wife. Isn't she beautiful? Deep then smiled politely. Nice to meet you. But inside he groaned. Oh heavens, what did she even see in this guy? Hung Nhi puckered his lips playfully. Come on my dear, give me a kiss. Make him jealous to death. She pushed his face away quickly. Stop it. There are kids here. Then she formally introduced herself. My name is Duong Nhu Hyan, disciple of Elder Du from the outer sect Spirit Fruit Garden. Her gentle face made Deep then feel some goodwill. I see. This brat mentions you all the time. I'm Deep then. The next second Nhu Hyan gasped in surprise. Mentions me all the time. Hung Nhi, did you speak ill of me? Hung Nhi panicked, waving his hands. Of course not. And thus, the two fell into a small couple's argument. Just now you stuttered. You always stutter when you lie. Don't pinch me. Deep then, save me. I won't do it again. Deep then stood by watching amused. Can't believe this brat finally got his turn. A while later everyone gathered inside the room. This time really troubling you, brother. What should I prepare? Deep then sat cross-legged on the bed explaining. Nothing to prepare. But during the marrow cleansing it'll be quite painful. Hung Nhi froze. Painful? Then no way. Nhu Hyan sitting opposite was calm. It's fine, I can handle it. Her eyes were steady without a trace of fear. Deep then, let's begin. He nodded. All right. Deep then's palms started to blaze, flames slowly rising. He pushed the fire toward Nhu Hyan, wrapping her completely. Within seconds her face twisted in pain. She clenched her lips to keep from screaming. Hung Nhi paced anxiously. Hey, are you sure you can handle this? Deep then confidently said. Relax, I know my limits. Suddenly a strange thought popped into his head. Could it be these two had a kid before marrying? Nhu Hyan hesitantly replied. Actually before. He didn't look like this. Deep then glanced at Hung Nhi and guessed. Practiced the wrong cultivation technique and turned like this, huh? There's even that kind of thing. He leaned by the window sighing. Don't even remind me. Every time I think about it, I get furious. All because of that old liar. I used to be dashing and handsome, you know, but that damned cultivation art bewitched me completely. Deep then sat staring at the jade pill in his hand, thinking a heavenly titch pill capable of creating a heavenly titch realm expert. The dim oil lamp light in the room shone on his troubled face, losing the power of the heavenly titch pill. They must be anxious too. Deep then glanced around the room. If they knew the remaining half of the heavenly titch pill was in his hand, he would surely die. Where to hide it? He looked toward the corner behind the curtain here. Deep then used his technique to send the jade into the wall. The place most visible to the eyes was in fact the safest. Done after hiding it. He sighed. Outer sect competition. Too many schemes. Must prepare in advance. Deep then began feeding fire into the gourd on the table. Must refine some more spirit jade leaves. Keep them for when needed. The gourd gradually emitted black mist. He added a drop of water inside. Deep then took the bottle in his hand, walked out of the room smiling proudly. Enough for me to use for a long time, Then a message sound was transmitted. Registration for the Outer Sect contest starts at the hour of dragon, ends at the hour of pig. Right after the message finished, all Outer Sect disciples participating must bring their jade tokens to the Heaven and Earth Pavilion to register. Deep then beamed brightly. Outer Sect contest tricks again. Who am I afraid of? The tall pavilion reached almost to the sun, making people sigh. Truly worthy of Heaven and Earth Pavilion. Contestants crowded entering inside. Oh heavens, bless me please, may Heaven and Earth not let me meet a strong opponent. I do not want to stay 3 more years in the Outer Sect. Too big already. Someone at the door recognized Deep. Then that's Deep. Then the one beside whispered, praying, please don't let me meet him. I also don't want to face him. He's a monster. Whoever meets him has bad luck. Someone stepped forward, blocking his way. Deep then strained his mind, trying to recall, who is this? Triu Trung, right? Triu Long angrily frowned, shouting, want to die, brat? My name is Triu Long. Deep then's eyes narrowed, carrying killing intent. Get lost. He trembled, stepping aside. Pressure too strong, already condensed 9 layers. Deep then walked past him, warning, today I am in good mood. Don't make me step on you. Disciples of Hang and Sect lined up, blocking his path. Move away, Triu Long arrogantly declared. You better pray tomorrow you won't meet me, or don't blame me for beating you to death. The clash of auras between both sides made the air seem to burn. Come fight, then trash. Suddenly a voice interrupted the quarrel. How lively. Deep then glanced back, seeing Kai Bin waving his fan, walking forward. Don Kai Bin. He turned, snapping angrily, bastard, you hurt me before. I still haven't settled with you. Kai Bin laughed loudly. I'm so scared. Tam and Gaiet came adding to the scene, making Deep then speechless. Oh, it's you, she mocked him, and the entire Hang and Sect. The one with the heaviest killing intent is you. He was not weak, replying back. So the one unable to achieve true Tao has come to. The crowd surrounded him, intending to use numbers to suppress Deep. Then half of Outer Sect wants to crush you. Let's see how you die. Some onlookers worried. Are they going to fight? Someone nearby warned, fighting here. This is Heaven and Earth Pavilion. Want to die? Suddenly an authoritative voice rose, making everyone turn. What's going on? Why gathering here? Hok Dang, carrying a large hammer on his shoulder, walked up full of might. The leader of the mission hall. Hok Dang. Following him were people whose names alone inspired respect. The leader of the library hall, Luke Hyan Nhi, and also Tian Guide of the alchemy hall, law enforcement hall, Tiu Ken spiritual weapon hall, Triu Enham spiritual fruit garden, Vuong Lam. These prodigies all gathered here unexpectedly. Tiu Ken looked around, evaluating. Today is lively. Triu Enham scolded. I told you already, a condensate stage, yet you didn't believe. Hok Dang looked at Deep, then praising, this kid looks pleasing to the eye. Now I believe, though only condensate stage, his aura is not weaker than ours. No need to ask, you must be Deep. Then he grasped his shoulder firmly, assuring junior brother, don't fear, senior brother will protect you. Hang and disciples unafraid began mocking him. 3 of you already look annoying. Hok Dang glared. What did you say? That one pointed and shouted. I said you 3 look uncomfortable. Get lost you. Someone beside quickly pulled him. Don't, you can't mess with them. Though Deep then's group was small, their momentum was like an army of thousands ready for battle. You bite me. Hok Dang stood akimbo, taunting. Don't go, you said you wanted to fight. The Hang and group hurriedly left. Weak, wait. We will see on the arena. He turned to comfort Deep, then like to a younger brother. Don't fear them, those cowards. Hok Dang's group also left, leaving a friendly call. Little brother, another day we drink together. Deep then shouted back from afar. Okay. Tian Gaiet lingered a bit, asking, feel pressure? Deep then calmly replied, there is, but not much. She smiled gently, slowly walking away. That's good. After a few steps, he suddenly wondered, why don't I see the Outer Sect top disciple? She did not turn back, only casually answered him, that guy who knows may be off drinking again. Deep then rubbed his chin, puzzled. Still has time to drink, huh? On a beautiful day, under rows of green trees, came the sound of someone complaining. I said, push slower, you damn fat man. I am tired of being pushed by you. Hung Nhi ignored it, pushing Deep then toward the Spirit Fire Garden, making him confused. Where are we going? He spoke mysteriously. To show you something good. On the tree branches hung many clusters of ripe fruits. These spirit fruits are really sweet. Eat slower. No one is competing with you. Hung Nhi spoke with his mouth full, mumbling unclear words. Eating food, of course, must chew loudly to enjoy. Nhu Hyan scolded seriously. You don't even leave some for Deep then, he casually replied. No need to be polite with him. She handed a fruit to Deep then. Deep then, try this one, it is much better. He waved his hand meaning to talk business. Thanks. The good thing that the fat man mentioned, where is it? Hung Nhi pointed to a corner of the garden. Look over there. A dark figure stood under the shadow of a big tree, making Deep then unable to see clearly. Who is that? Why never saw before? It was a tall man with silver hair and gray skin. He was a puppet. Nhu Hyan rested her chin on her hands, explaining. Master brought it back from the inner sect yesterday to guard the spirit fruit garden. Hung Nhi, still chewing, said, Good stuff, right? Deep then slowly stood up. Then I must look carefully. After looking at it for a while he sighed. Truly, as the rumors say, a puppet, a type of killing weapon refined using special mystic arts. They are cold-blooded without emotion or thought. Once target is locked, they will fight endlessly unless stopped by the caster. Deep then gently touched the forehead of the puppet. In the forest trial, this same type of puppet was released, but those were only human-level puppets. Hung Nhi asked curiously, How is it? New right? Deep then chuckled. Of course. He added more information. A human-level puppet in strength equals a cultivator at human origin realm. Deep then was surprised. Human level. So there are higher levels too. Puppets also divide into ranks like human. Of course, above human level is profound level. Profound level puppets equal true young realm cultivators. Above profound is earth level. Earth level puppets equal spirit void realm cultivators. Above earth level is heaven level. Hung Nhi proudly continued teaching. Heard from my ninth uncle that our Hang En Hak sect even has one heaven level puppet, equal to void enlightenment realm cultivator. Deep then laughed faintly. Void enlightenment realm, really or not? He could not confirm, only heard so. My ninth uncle's level is too low, never seen with own eyes. He turned asking, Nhu Hyan lady, this puppet who controls it, can I test its ability a little? Hung Nhi preparing to swallow another fruit spoke. That is easy. He stomped both feet on the ground, and then his body flew up. Hung Nhi raised his hand toward the cluster of fruits on the tree with excitement. He picked the biggest round fruit there, tearing it off. The puppet's eyes suddenly lit up, clearly angry. Hung Nhi hung swinging on a branch, waiting it to chase. Come here, Grandpa is here. He was thrilled, flying left then right. The puppet closely followed. Deep then was slightly shocked. The puppet can act on its own. Nhu Hyan explained. Of course not. Someone controls it with magic. It came here to guard the spirit fruit garden. He began to deduce. The master must have set a restriction on it. Once someone steals fruit, the restriction activates and makes it chase. Deep then still had doubts. So if it cannot catch the fat man, it keeps chasing forever. She answered, Of course not. If Hung Nhi runs out of the fruit garden, it stops chasing. There is also another way. Nhu Hyan pressed her fingers together, releasing light. The caster orders it to stop. The puppet still wildly chased Hung Nhi, its eyes shining brighter. Hung Nhi hid on a branch, shouting provocatively, Come here, your grandpa is here. Suddenly the puppet turned mechanically before his eyes. Hurry, chase. Nhu Hyan formed hand seals, urging, Let's test its power. Deep then, he answered, All right. The puppet's pupils trembled. It looked confused, eyes wide open. The puppet suddenly dashed forward, striking at Deep then. He smiled proudly. Perfect timing. Deep then unleashed lightning toward it, but it dodged quickly. Thunder palm. Seeing its legs dig deep into the ground to reduce impact, he became excited. Like a real person. Truly marvelous. Nhu Hyan explained. This one counts as lowest level among human rank puppets. Its refining material is too poor. If made with higher material and given power to cast mystic arts, its strength would be much higher. The puppet kept attacking, but Deep then blocked with one hand. The puppet can even cast mystic arts. Nhu Hyan patiently explained each detail, of course, but such puppets require very high flexibility and toughness in material. Otherwise, the mystic art could injure itself, and giving it the power to use mystic art means restrictions must be placed inside its body, very complicated. Yet even with mystic art power, its strength is still lower than cultivators of same level, because they have no thoughts. Deep then launched a flame, blasting the puppet far away. Nhu Hyan formed seals, signaling stop. Deep then stood hands on hips laughing loudly. Good stuff, really good stuff. Can even take hits. Hung Nhi suggested. How about making one for yourself? He looked surprised. This can be made. Hung Nhi seemed to know much. Of course it can. Van Bao Pavilion sells them. He told Deep then the price. Human level puppet 30,000 spirit stones each. Hearing that, Deep then's mouth dropped. 30,000. Hung Nhi patted his shoulder persuading. 30,000 not small, but for you not hard. You are an alchemist. Just refine one pill and earn thousands. Only costs some time. A human level puppet limited ability. Spending 30,000 spirit stones for one. Why do I feel big loss? Deep then scolded. You know nothing. Puppets have no thought or soul. Just killing tools. Hung Nhi quickly refuted. Even useless can block one fatal blow from enemy. Not to say you, but your head maybe. Nhu Hyan turned to stop him. Fat. She suddenly got angry chasing Hung Nhi. Every word you say is damn it, are you itching for beating? Stop right there. He ran frantically shouting. I didn't. Fine, I won't say any more, okay, my grandma. Meanwhile Deep then pondered. Makes some sense. A puppet is a tool. No thought, no feeling, no pain. Even if smashed it is fine. When in danger can use it as shield. Maybe not bad way to protect myself. He silently made up his mind. 30,000 right. Let's start saving. Deep then walked while scratching his head 10,000 spirit stones, selling all the spirit pills and spirit liquid on his body was still not enough. Moreover, if the spirit pills and spirit liquid were sold to Van Baokak, the price would surely be half lower than the purchase price. He looked up to the sky and sighed. If I reduce the price of spirit pills and spirit liquid a little and sell them to the disciples of Hang Nhak sect, then my identity as an alchemist will be exposed. To fuck saw the familiar figure stepping in and immediately stood up saying registered back already. Deep then said to himself in his heart, I do not want others to know my identity as an alchemist so soon. He smiled cunningly and answered back already. He smiled flatteringly and ran to punch To fuck's shoulder. Elder, you see my skill is not bad, right? He coldly said. Stop doing these useless things. What is it? Say it. Deep then stopped massaging and stood aside. Actually nothing special, just wanted to borrow some money. To fuck asked back, borrow money, how much? He softly replied 10,000. Hearing that number he spit out all the water in his mouth onto Deep then's face. To fuck like a ghost screamed 10,000. Brat, you want to go to heaven or what? He angrily shouted. Say, why need that much money? Deep then avoided his angry eyes and answered, to buy something. To fuck snorted annoyed. Continue lying. What thing is so expensive needs 10,000 spirit stones? Deep then glanced to the side. I want to buy a puppet. The blood that had just calmed boiled again. Puppet, you are full and bored, right? 10,000 to buy a puppet. He said. I buy it to study, just curious. He folded his arms and said 10,000 not more. To fuck threw a bag of spirit stones to Deep. Then here money already, remember to pay me back. If no money then use pills to pay. Now get out. He happily replied. Thank you, elder. To fuck shouted. Get out, seeing you makes me annoyed. Get out. Deep then answered. Then disciple gets out. He threatened. Unlucky brat, want a beating or what? He quickly ran away, not dare anymore. And Gayat Nhi stood outside smiling, shameless indeed. Deep then rubbed his butt, leaving the room. Damn, old man hit hard. He opened his eyes wide, seeing the familiar figure T Su Tai, and Gayat Nhi put a bag of spirit stones in front of him. I only have this much, you take it. He froze this. She hit the bag against his chest. Give, then take it. And Gayat Nhi turned around walking away. Have money, then remember to pay me back. He opened the bag and counted the spirit stones. There were 7, 8, 10,000 T Su Tai, really generous, plus my spirit stones and spirit liquid. It is almost enough already. At the 10,000 treasures pavilion, Die Fuck saw Deep then and immediately greeted him. Kid, you haven't come here for a few days, have you? Deep then scratched his head and smiled awkwardly, busy cultivating. No time. Both of them sat down at the table. Deep then asked right away, Elder, I heard you have puppets here, right? Die Fuck while fiddling with his abacus replied, "What, you want to buy one?" Deep then said, "Want to buy one for research." Die fuck, still busy with the abacus, answered, "Human-grade puppets cost 300,000 spirit stones." "Kid, do you have that much money?" "I'm busy today, no time to chat." Deep then gently placed 2 bags of spirit stones on the table. Die fuck was surprised, holding the bags in his hands. Didn't he expect it? "Kid, you're pretty rich." He held up a glowing orb and said, "Follow me." Die fuck swung the door open. "These 6 puppets, all human grade. Pick one yourself." Deep then's mouth formed an O shape at his actions. He took the glowing orb and walked toward the puppets that looked different. "Not bad." He touched a long-haired puppet hard, then moved to observe a big muscular puppet. "This one's kind of interesting too." Deep then looked to the side to see more. He was startled when his eyes landed on an old pale purple puppet. "Oh mother, did this one crawl out of a coffin?" Deep then looked at it disdainfully. "I'd have to get my head slammed in a door to pick you." He widened his eyes at the puppet in front of him, seeing the beautiful female puppet. Deep then sighed, "A female, huh?" He stroked his chin with a sly smile. "This one's not bad, bring her home, and just looking at her all day would lift my mood." Die fuck, watching from the side, urged, "Hey, are you done choosing my counter? Can't stay unattended, hurry up." Deep then pointed at the female puppet. "Her, I choose her." Die fuck coughed a few times, flustered her. "You better pick another one, choose a different one." Deep then said in surprise, What's going on?" Die fuck tried to explain. "The function of this female puppet is not very complete." Deep then squinted his eyes, smiling, staring at the chest of the puppet. "I think it looks quite complete." "What function is not complete?" A bag of spirit stones flew over. Die fuck angrily shouted, "Even a puppet you still lust after? Are you still a man?" He caught the money bag with his hand, laughing, and replied, "Just joking, old man. What does a real old man like you do?" He pointed furiously at him. "Want to fight, right? Who are you calling old man?" Deep then smiled flatteringly and replied, "The old man is me." "Great master, you are elegant and charming." "Okay." Die fuck snatched the bag of spirit stones from Deep then's hand. "The mouth of this brat really deserves a beating." He rubbed his chin, thinking, "After all, what part is incomplete? Looks normal to me." The old man immediately replied, "It has only one arm." Deep then held the sleeve of the missing arm. "Indeed, it's true. What situation is this?" Die fuck counted the spirit stones while answering, "Broken. The material for refining puppets is hard to find, so had to leave it aside." "You better change to another one," he stubbornly said. "No way, I only want her. Since it's broken, sell cheaper to me then." The old man finally agreed. "Fine, I will reduce for you 50,000 spirit stones." Deep then answered at once, "Deal." Die fuck held a talisman in his hand, guiding step by step. "Merge your fresh blood and a thread of your soul power into the talisman," he continued, "then stick it on the forehead of the female puppet. Form the link, that's all." Deep then did exactly as Die fuck instructed. He exclaimed, "Really miraculous, beautiful puppet. From now on you follow me through the world." The old man shouted, "Go away already, so slow." He replied, "Coming, stop rushing." When he returned home, it was already dark. The shrill scream of Ho-Oh sounded, "Big brother, who is this beautiful big sister?" Deep then replied, "She is." Fong Nin appeared from the doorway, speaking for him, "A puppet." Ho-Oh confusedly asked, "Puppet?" He explained in detail, "Puppets were created by the first-generation master of our Hang and Hack sect, as a kind of killing weapon refined by special mysterious art. They have no emotion or thought, cold-blooded and merciless. Once they set eyes on a target, they will chase endlessly until the spellcaster stops them. Only then can they cease." The boy exclaimed, "So powerful." Deep then placed his hand on Ho-Oh's shoulder, asked, "Are you afraid of pain?" The boy firmly replied, "Of course not." He placed Ho-Oh facing the one-armed puppet. "Good. Then show me the result of your cultivation. Fight her." The boy charged forward with his weapon, attacking it. The one-armed puppet suddenly had its eyes light up. It raised its arm, performing a move. With just one strike, Ho-Oh was sent flying far away. The boy did not fall but landed on one knee. Deep then stood watching the fierce battle between Ho-Oh and the one-armed puppet. A thought rose in his heart. Why does it feel like this one-armed puppet is even stronger than the spirit fruit beast? Moreover, this body movement. He put on a serious expression, thinking silently. Also has technique moves. Although she lacks one arm, she is much more agile than imagined. Attack and defense both balanced, except cannot use mysterious arts. The combat skills that cultivators can use. She basically knows all of them. Conroy one hand gently knocked Ho-Oh away. The cold face unchanged. Fong Nin stood beside Deep, then squinting and said, "Young man." He looked at him seriously and answered, "Here, sir." One breath. Increasing cultivation level is not possible. What the little tiger needs is real combat. Only by being beaten continuously in real battle can the boy temper his fighting power and mind on the path of cultivation. There are not few obstacles. Pressure creates motivation over there. The puppet struck Ho-Oh's face with one hand. The boy cried out. Fong Nin turned and left. He rubbed his eyes while walking. Old already cannot watch these things anymore. After a while, when the moon rose high, Deep then was healing Ho-Oh's wounds while comforting him. Her strength is at human origin. Realm losing is not shameful. The boy not only was not sad but answered firmly, "Big brother, I am not afraid. Tomorrow can you let her fight with me?" The boy smiled, showing his arm. "I feel that fighting with her I can learn many things." Tu-Ong looked at the figure of the one-handed puppet approaching. Around it was surrounded by a light, making Tu-Ong look cautiously. The space fell silent again. Only two pairs of eyes staring at each other. Deep then appeared and looked at the one-handed puppet. "Let me give you a name. How about that?" He smiled, looking around it, and said, "Call you Tu-Hyan. How about it? This name sounds fine. From now on, I will call you Tu-Hyan." Fire blazed on Deep Then's hand. He transmitted his true flame into Tu-Hyan's body, thinking the quality is already good. Combined with tempering by my true flame in the future surely will become my trump card. It began to move facial muscles like a human. Tu-Hyan showed a sad expression. Deep then kept transmitting fire into her body. After a while, when he stopped transmitting true flame, Tu-Hyan's body floated gently into the air. Deep then observed for a while light as collapsing mountains. The steps like a lazy slope, the wastes willow. He squinted and said, "Am I thinking too much?" Deep then sighed and asked, "The two of us train a bit, shall we?" After hearing Deep then's proposal, Tu-Hyan's face immediately turned cold again. Tu-Hyan rushed forward like the wind, striking at Deep. Then he was surprised, but praised. "Nicely done." Deep then also charged in, using flame kicks to counter her attack. She didn't back down and retaliated. Tu-Hyan braced her hands on the ground, lifting her legs high. She spun and kicked at Deep. Then he wasn't too surprised, jumping up to dodge. Before he could land, Tu-Hyan came diving down from above with her long, slender legs aiming straight for him. Deep then said, "I really underestimated you." He calmly grabbed her ankle, locking her arm. Deep then used his strength to spin Tu-Hyan around in a full circle. "I've never been afraid of anyone before." Then he threw her body far away with all his might. Go. Deep then appeared before Tu-Hyan again like the wind with a sly grin. He raised his leg high, ready to stomp down on her. "Down you go." Tu-Hyan lifted her sleeve before he could touch her. She swung the edge of her robe right into his face, making him cry out in pain. Both of them landed on the ground in a kneeling stance. Deep then spoke, "Forgot to guard your left side." He wiped the wound on his cheek with his sleeve, smiling happily. "Found a treasure." The two of them clashed again, exchanging techniques. But in the end it was Deep then who took all the hits. "Again, come again." Chopped the leg. How learning fast. Now pulling hair too. After a while the moon rose higher and brighter. Deep then knelt on the ground, panting. "Stop." He grabbed the water jar and drank deeply, exhaling softly. He glanced with doubt. "Could it be that because my soul power expanded she transformed? That's why the stronger the opponent the stronger she becomes." Deep then stood with arms crossed for a while, then commented, "Wearing black all day. Looks like an assassin. Not pretty at all." He hurriedly rummaged through the pile of things. "Wait there. Let me change a set of clothes for you." Deep then took out a soft blue dress. "This one looks good. Come, let me help you put it on." A second later he coughed awkwardly. "Seems not very proper." The crooked thoughts slowly invaded his mind, making Deep then cover his ears and chant, "Don't think nonsense." As he raised his hand, Tu-Hyan also lifted her sword. "Find someone else to help change clothes. We still have to fight properly." From Deep then's angle, Tu-Hyan jumped so high her figure overlapped with the moon. "Take this." She pointed the sword straight at him. Her swordsmanship was much stronger than imagined. If she unleashed her mysterious power, this sword would not be ordinary. Deep then chose to face her directly. The two swords collided, making a loud sound. Two Hyen swung and slashed skillfully, making Deep then sigh inwardly. Alright, the basic sword techniques of a cultivator. She basically knows all of them, only lacks understanding of the principle. The moon was rising high. In the quiet night, only the sound of sharp things clashing remained. Two figures, one blue, one red, moved at incredible speed, continuously colliding with each other. After a while, Deep then caught Tu Hyen's hand. He smiled with delight. Deep then pulled her hard toward him. The opening is here. Unexpectedly, his hand accidentally touched Tu Hyen's chest. His movement froze instantly. Deep then's eyes widened in shock. Space and time seemed to stop. The dark clouds above slowly drifted away. Suddenly a slap sounded. Tu Hyen punched Deep then straight in the face. He screamed in pain. Before he could react, she kicked low. Luckily, he quickly leaned back to dodge. But Deep then's hand slammed hard onto the ground. Mother, it hurts so much. His hand clenched tightly. The fist slowly wrapped in a layer of flame. When Tu Hyen was about to strike, his head, Deep then raised his big hand, shouting, "Stop!" He knelt on the ground, crying, "Mother, spare my life." Deep then sat flat on the ground, constantly sobbing. So cruel. One of his eyes was bruised so badly he could barely open it. Too ruthless. In the daytime at the manor, there was a mocking voice sounding. "Who got beaten here? Look at this face." Hung Nhi excitedly jumped around laughing. "What happened? I say, little god, you even have this day?" Deep then held his face annoyed. "Shut up. A dog mouth cannot spit out ivory." Nhu Hyen looked elsewhere, hurriedly shouted, "The puppet is coming." Seeing Tu Hyen walking in the yard made Hung Nhi astonished. "You really bought a puppet?" He lazily scolded. "Are you blind? Is she not standing there? If not bought, then stolen, huh?" He folded his arms behind his back, questioning, "Where did you get money, and also bought a female puppet?" Hung Nhi smiled with squint eyes, praising, "Also very beautiful." The eyes of Nhu Hyen gradually darkened. Beautiful what? Hung Nhi was still fascinated to drool without realizing the difference, like a fairy. A second later, a strange feeling spread to his nerves. His face gradually distorted. Being pinched by Nhu Hyen on the ear made Hung Nhi scream loudly. "It hurts." "Deep then. Save me, Deep then." He sat on the doorstep laughing loudly. "You brought it on yourself." She both pinched and scolded. "Fairy, huh? For you to flirt, right?" So the yard again was noisy with the scolding of that pair. Enough already. Even the puppet not spared. Say, dare to mess again or not? Don't dare again. Even if given, don't dare again. After watching the scene, Deep then coughed a few times, asking for help. "Nhu Hyen lady, help me a bit." He took out a blue dress and gave her. "Help me change clothes for her." Nhu Hyen turned away, still cursing non-stop. "Look at everyone, then look at me. Playing what don't know." Deep then happily reminded, "Exactly. You should learn a bit." Hung Nhi squinted one eye, mocking. "Learn you, huh? I learn your wide mouth, big face, panda eyes, huh?" He covered his face, sighing. "Even dying cannot let them know." He recalled the old story, started questioning. "I say, who beat you?" The hand was not light. Deep then hesitated, answered, "I did it myself." Hung Nhi laughed cunningly. "All right." He rubbed one side of his face, complaining, "I didn't mean it. That little girl hit too hard." A moment later, the door of the room opened. Morning sunlight gradually shined on the doorstep. Hung Nhi's eyes showed heart shapes. Deep then completely motionless. His eyes widened in surprise. So beautiful, a woman this beautiful, was made into a puppet. Hung Nhi's eyes lit up as if he wanted to rush over. Look at her plump figure. Nhu Hyen raised her hand in front of him. "That plump figure, stop looking. Even if you look, it's not yours." She looked at Tu Hyen curiously. "Why is she missing an arm?" Deep then answered awkwardly, "Cheap stuff." Hung Nhi clenched his fist, showing righteous intent. "If you don't have enough money, just say it. Do you know missing one arm will greatly weaken her strength?" Then he said something that made Deep then chuckle. "How about this? I'll take the loss. Sell that beautiful puppet to me." Deep then looked down slightly, then spoke loudly, challenging, without using spiritual energy. "If you can beat her, she's yours." Hung Nhi got excited. "Really? Such a good deal?" Inside Deep then secretly smirked, "Foolish fatty, your retribution is coming." Hung Nhi glanced at Tu Huan with a sly grin. "Without using spiritual energy, I can still beat you." His legs tensed, he gave a small hop and his body shot forward. Hung Nhi reached out his big greedy hands toward her. "Begin." In an instant, Tu Huan punched him square in the face, twisting his mouth to the side. Deep then couldn't help laughing in satisfaction, while Chu Huan covered her mouth worried. Hearing the cries of pain, "Oh my!" she widened her eyes in shock. "Both are human-grade puppets, but this one-armed beauty, really, are you sure she's human-grade?" Deep then folded his arms completely pleased. "Human-grade puppet, if not real, I'll give it for free." Chu Huan watched Hung Nhi get sent flying and sighed. "Too strange." He smashed face first into the wall, groaning in pain. "Too cruel, too vicious." Outside the small courtyard, countless complaints could still be heard. "Oh my, so vicious. Could that be an Earth-grade puppet?" "No way, right. An Earth-grade puppet could already perform basic mystic techniques. Its body would not hold sealed spiritual energy." Chu Huan was gently applying medicine to Hung Nhi. "When I changed her clothes, I checked. No sealed energy." He rubbed his chubby cheek and complained. "Then that's really strange, easy wife." She scolded softly. "Stop moving." Deep then took the initiative to speak. "Lady Chu Huan, you seem to understand puppets very well." Her round eyes darted around. Then she suggested, "My master once helped craft puppets. I happened to overhear a bit. If possible, I can show your puppet to my master." Deep then quickly nodded. "Agreed. After the Outer Sect tournament we'll talk." Hung Nhi seemed to remember something and turned to speak. "I heard this time each participant in the tournament will have one resurrection." Deep then was surprised. "There's such a thing?" Hung Nhi leaned against the courtyard steps calmly explaining, "Mainly because last time the tournament had too much nonsense. Now the top 10 Outer Sect disciples are all people who lost last time. Not because they weren't strong enough, but because they met unreasonable opponents. In the last tournament, many weaker disciples ended up entering the inner sect, while stronger ones stayed behind. Can you believe it? I only heard this, but in the last tournament many strong disciples faced each other, causing many powerful ones to lose." Deep then stood up, stretching comfortably. "Luck is also a kind of strength." The corner of his lips lifted into a confident smile. "Whatever happens, let's hope we don't meet in the tournament." The arena of Kankan opened into a vast battle stage. Sitting under the stands, Deep then turned to instruct Ho-Oh. "If you face a powerful disciple, you must surrender, understand?" he added. "This time there is no need to enter the inner sect, just come to feel a bit of the atmosphere." A powerful shout echoed, "Disciples of Enhan Duong Din arrive." When he saw their figures walking out, Deep then thought to himself, "Ti Hao, only a few days, you brat are already this cheerful. Your arm has been reattached already." Then another loud shout followed, "Disciples of Joy Luat Duong arrive." They looked toward Deep then with pride while he was full of concern. Quan Kai Bin, that punchable face. Deep then was filled with determination. "Sooner or later I will destroy you." In the sky suddenly countless streams of immortal energy appeared flying in. Gradually a group of people also appeared. Deep then recognized, "The leaders of 1 Deen 1 Duong 2 Veen 3 Fong 8 Kak have all come. Everyone has arrived. Standing in the front should be the top seat disciple, right?" Then he also thought when seeing the other sects. Deep then at this moment was lost in his own thoughts. The one leading Thien Duong Din, could it be the legendary top Outer Sect disciple? His cultivation is not even as strong as Jiang Hao. Suddenly a voice from Tavan rose. "He is not the top Outer Sect disciple." At that moment Deep then was surprised, but also somewhat curious. The aura is strange, cannot see through the cultivation level at all. He became cautious. This person is definitely not simple. Wonder what his background is. When he saw the familiar figure of So Hyan appear, Deep then looked astonished. The inner sect 9 peaks even sent 3 peak masters. She also came. Hang and Hack sect values the outer sect competition this much. So Hyan looked at Deep then with deep eyes. "Little Deep then, don't forget the trial I gave you." He quickly responded with a forced smile. Understood. A streak of spiritual power shot into the sky, forming a fiery vortex. Outer sect competition. And that was the signal. It begins now. A large vortex in the sky. It swept streams of golden light down to the ground. Those standing there all shouted in excitement mixed with nervousness. Who will be chosen? A beam of light shone on Tivan, his mouth curved up showing disdain when everyone shouted, Tivan, Enhan Duong Din. Another ray of light shone on Ho-Oh, who was dumbfounded looking around ignoring the murmurs. It is that kid Ho-Oh's turn. Deep then suffered a lot for him, but compared to Deep then, his strength is much weaker. Deep then put his hand on the boy's shoulder encouraging. Don't be afraid, give your all, and it will be fine. Ho-Oh clenched his fist raising it saying, I am not afraid, losing to anyone is fine, but I will not lose to him. The boy's eyebrows slightly furrowed, his voice lowered confirming, Big brother can defeat his brother. I also definitely can defeat him. Tivan stood with arms crossed arrogantly challenging. So what waste today you have courage, forgot the other day when I beat you already. Ho-Oh gripped the stick in his hand tightly replying irritated. Too talkative. Want to fight then fight. The boy swung the stick downward shouting loudly, if not fight then get out. Tivan quickly jumped to dodge then shot a beam of light from his palm and cursed, trash, hundreds of flaws. His eyes lit up full of malice. The corner of his mouth also curved when he hit the back of Ho-Oh. Hit him. At the tip of the boy's stick there was a round bead. Ho-Oh quickly pulled the stick up. Then he leapt up using the round head of the stick to stab into the chest of Tivan. He was hit by the stick flying far away, hands clutching his chest, but still shouting, Brat. Tivan hurriedly stood up, preparing to attack while yelling, You seek death. His palms glowed red, an energy beam flashing out. Tivan used that and shot straight at Ho-Oh. The boy used the stick struggling to block. Being attacked he stepped back. Ho-Oh gritted his teeth, his eyes sharp full of hatred looking toward Tivan. Seeing Ho-Oh stand up, Tivan immediately gathered a new move then shouted, You still not defeated. On the opposite side the boy created lines of fire barriers rushing toward Tivan then shouted loudly, Staff formation. So Hyan stood from afar observing a bit evaluating. This kid is not simple. Dao Hyan standing beside also nodded agreeing. Compared with Tivan of T-family, the kid's mind is calmer and deeper. They all looked at the sharp eyes of Ho-Oh with furrowed eyebrows and guessed, the boy is in a dormant state, preparing to counterattack. Tivan swung his attack toward Ho-Oh's fence and shouted, Damn it. Ho-Oh's eyebrows furrowed, his eyes filled with determination as he yelled, Now. The boy leapt up, swinging his staff down from above. Tivan raised both hands to block, but was forced back. From the stands, Deep then smiled slightly and said, Ho-Oh, I really underestimated you. Tivan staggered backward, panting heavily after taking that hit. He looked around and noticed a certain elder floating on a cloud whispering. What he relies on is only that black iron staff in his hand. Tivan's eyes fell on the staff, and he sneered, Black iron staff, huh? At that moment, Ho-Oh was descending from the air, the iron staff in hand, ready to strike down. Tivan stood firm, brimming with confidence, staring at the boy preparing to smash the staff down. Dao Huan lowered his head and sighed, saying to Than Duong, just this once. The staff and sword collided, producing a deafening metallic shriek, a flash of light, and Tivan's furious shout, Break! He hooked the iron staff and flung it aside, causing Ho-Oh's body to spin off balance with it. Seeing that, Deep then grew anxious, not good. He's only trained in staff techniques. Everything else is basically empty. Tivan curled his lips into a mocking smile, taunting the boy, without the iron staff. Let's see what you can rely on now. Ho-Oh dropped to one knee, then struggled to stand, wiping the dust from his face but still full of resolve. Tivan leapt up, thrusting his sword down as he roared, Go die for me. A few cultivators watching from the stands whispered among themselves, that kid Ho-Oh is badly hurt. Without his black iron staff, it'll be hard for him to recover. The sword came down, the tip glowing with scorching heat aimed straight at Ho-Oh. Suddenly, a tearing sound rang out, and blood splattered. It turned out Ho-Oh had grabbed the sword's blade with his bare hand, standing tall as he blocked T-Van's strike. T-Van shouted angrily into the boy's face, still not giving up. Deep then sat with arms crossed for a while, then judged, wearing black all day like an assassin, not handsome at all. He urgently rummaged through the pile of things. Wait there, let me change a set of clothes for you. Deep then took out a soft blue dress. This one is good, come, let me help you put it on. A second later he coughed awkwardly, seems not very proper. The crooked thoughts slowly invaded his mind, making Deep then cover his ears and chant, do not think naughty. As he raised his hand, Tu Hyen also lifted her sword. Find someone else to help change clothes. We still have to fight properly. From Deep then's angle, Tu Hyen jumped so high her figure overlapped the moon. Take this. She pointed the sword straight at him, her swordsmanship far stronger than imagined. If she unleashed mysterious power, this sword would be extraordinary. Deep then chose to face her directly. The two swords clashed with a loud sound. Tu Hyen lowered her sword and sliced with great skill, making Deep then inwardly praise, all right, basic cultivator sword technique. She basically knows them all, only lacks understanding of the Tao. The moon rose higher. In the quiet night, only the sounds of sharp things striking remained. Two figures, one blue, one red, moved at terrifying speed, colliding continuously. After a while, Deep then caught Tu Hyen's hand. He smiled with delight. Deep then pulled her hard toward him. The opening is here. Unexpectedly, his hand accidentally touched Tu Hyen's chest. His movement froze. Deep then's eyes widened in horror. Space and time almost halted. Dark clouds above drifted slowly. Suddenly a slap rang out. Tu Hyen punched Deep then square in the face. He cried out in pain. Before he could steady himself, she kicked low. Luckily, he quickly leaned back and dodged. But Deep then's hand slammed hard onto the ground. Mother, it hurts. His hand clenched. His fist gradually wrapped in a layer of flame. When Tu Hyen was about to strike his head, Deep then raised his big hand, shouting, stop. He knelt on the ground, wailing, Mother, spare me. Deep then sat flat on the ground, continuously sobbing. Too cruel. One of his eyes was so bruised he could barely open it. Too ruthless. Both of them stepped onto the arena amid the cheers of the audience below. Deep then, Don Kai Bin. This time it will be special. Don Kai Bin had plotted against Deep then more than once. This time, if they do not fight until heaven and earth turn dark, it would be strange. Tam and Gaiet lowered her face, thinking when hearing the people around discussing. But Don Kai Bin has already stepped 1 foot into Chan Duong realm. Even if Deep then is stronger, can he surpass Don Kai Bin? The person next to quickly refuted, others may not. But Deep then perhaps can. Deep then. Even Than Duong and Kat Hong only stayed silent enduring all the discussions. Last time Deep then almost got beaten to death. Everyone in the outer sect knew what happened. Only no one dared to speak. This time meeting here, surely it will be a battle to the death. Dao Hyen suddenly asked softly, so Hyen, junior sister, he is Deep then? She gently smiled, to cause a riot on the scene, except for him, who else could? So Hyen crossed her arms before her chest, expecting, brat, wanting to be my disciple, it will not be that easy. The whole body of Kai Bin gradually flared up with fire, and he threatened, Deep then, meeting me is already destined to be your suffering. Deep then was not weak either, and began channeling earth thunder into his body. Who will suffer is not yet known. Hung Nhi stood high above and could overlook the whole arena. Deep then. He was also burning with anger, shouting loudly, beat him face down. Deep then carried lightning and rushed forward. Bon Loi fist. Kai Bin created a spiral of purple light to counter. Hyen Kwang seal. The two great forces collided. The impact was strong, causing both to be thrown back. He slightly frowned and sneered, underestimated you. Kai Bin began releasing fire outward. The fire formed into thousands of swords. He pointed his finger and immediately the swords flew forward. Imperial sword flying immortal. Suddenly sparks flashed in the sky. Heavenly Flame Sword Technique. It turned out Deep then had summoned flaming swords from the ground to strike back. Deep then channeled force into his legs. He only gave a light hop and his whole body flew up. Deep then lunged forward with the sword. Now it's my turn. Kai Bin quickly cupped his hands to form a large shield in front, Hyan Kwang's shield. The flame on Deep then's sword clearly burned fiercer than the weak fire he had made before. Break. The sword successfully pierced the shield. For me, the two flames collided and sparks flew everywhere. Kai Bin nimbly retreated several steps. He clenched his teeth in anger. How dare he shatter my Hyan Kwang's shield? Dao Hyan squinted, extremely worried. Kai condensation 9 layers. This tactic is too. Suo Hyan stood with hands on her hips, full of anticipation. Which among our senior brothers will win? Dao Hyan no longer had any smile on his face. Not easy to say. I feel Don Kai Bin's chance of winning is a bit higher. After all, he has already stepped 1 foot into the Chan Duong realm. Voengan pronounced coldly, that brat Deep then will win. Kai Bin then became like a sword, his hand gripping the blade as killing intent radiated from him. The disciples of Enhan Duong Peak widened their eyes in shock. That is, Kai Bin lifted the sword high with both hands, Kin Loi. When the blade came down it became enormous. Tram Dao quit. Lightning streamed from the sword without stop. Deep then forced himself to use his sword to block. He held the defense for a while before his legs began to buckle. The concrete floor started to crack. A disciple broke out in cold sweat and fear. The secret art is tyrannical indeed. It can make one the top disciple of the disciplinary hall. It's not something to say lightly. Tam and Gayat secretly feared. Yet he could block the Kin Loi of Tram Dao quit. Deep then, you. Kai Bin pressed the sword down harder, still not dead. He drew his arms back to swing for another strike. Once more. In the heat of the moment another fiery sword stabbed in. You think I'll give you a second chance? Kai Bin still stood stunned, not yet understanding what was happening. Kai Bin used sword, struck out a spark. Get away. Deep then did not flinch, confidently rushed toward him. He gathered strength into his hand, pressed directly onto Kai Bin's body. He was beaten by Deep then until his face twisted. The boy raised his voice threatening, sneaky ambush this. Taking advantage when Kai Bin was not paying attention, he used his elbow to hit right at the back of his neck. Ambush me right. Though in pain, but Kai Bin still tried to regain calm, into stance preparing to attack back. But not letting that plan succeed. Deep then eyes turned red, launched continuous strikes onto him. Ambush again go. He shouted full of momentum, showing fierce might. Deep then ended the match with a kick from below up, making him spit blood. Some disciples of Enhan Duong Din witnessing that scene were shocked. Again that way of fighting. Vo and Gan outside though cold also had to marvel before Deep then power. The method of close combat was too wonderful. Just being condensing Kai 8th level already had such dominant real combat power. This kid, truly not simple. So Hyan smiled satisfied. Boy, you really made me feel unexpected. Kai Bin was beaten, fell down to the ground. Anyone seeing also felt pain for him. Face grimace scratched. He breathed each breath hard. Seeing the situation before eyes, Kai Kin clenched teeth angry. Kai Bin lying there rolled eyes thinking other way to deal back with Deep then pulling distance to fight. Dao Hyan darkened face, warned Kai Kin, if one more time, don't blame sect not care about your face, directly cancelled disciple qualification. Kai Bin put hand on floor, poured all energy. He took momentum jumped high up. Deep then already saw intention of opponent, dodge. He was full of spirit, lightning shone bright like glory. Can you escape? Kai Bin felt something wrong, face pale, this. Deep then burned with rage and unleashed a secret technique toward Kai Bin, Ken Long, making him scream miserably. And Gayat Nhi witnessing the pitiful scene of Kai Bin showed an expression of disbelief. This is what secret technique? The disciples of Enhan Duong Din standing behind her were no less shocked. This is too domineering, Tian Gayat doubted. That day when fighting me he did not use his full strength. Dao Haiyan lightly smiled and said to So Haiyan beside him, "Junior sister, still your eyes are profound. This secret art can long of him. No one in the outer sect can withstand it." She also exhaled softly and replied, "Honestly, I also feel very unexpected." Kai Bin lay on his back in midair, his face covered in cold sweat, looking extremely terrified. Deep then grabbed his ankle tightly. A disciple of Enhan Duongdin clenched his fist and shouted, "Good, that Don is done for." Another fellow disciple covered his eyes with both hands saying, "He is about to fall." Right after that Kai Bin fell onto the stage. The impact echoed through the space, dust filled the air. He lay miserably on the ground, missing several teeth. Deep then still stood tall, gripping Kai Bin's ankle tightly. Deep then burned with rage and unleashed a secret technique toward Kai Bin, Ken Long, making him scream miserably. And Gaiad Nhi, witnessing the pitiful scene of Kai Bin, showed an expression of disbelief. This is what secret technique? The disciples of Enhan Duongdin standing behind her were no less shocked. This is too domineering, T and Gaiad doubted. That day when fighting me he did not use his full strength. Dao Haiyan lightly smiled and said to So Haiyan beside him, "Junior sister, still your eyes are profound. This secret art can long of him. No one in the outer sect can withstand it." She also exhaled softly and replied, "Honestly, I also feel very unexpected." Kai Bin lay on his back in midair, his face covered in cold sweat, looking extremely terrified. Deep then grabbed his ankle tightly. A disciple of Enhan Duongdin clenched his fist and shouted, "Good, that Don is done for." Another fellow disciple covered his eyes with both hands saying, "He is about to fall." Right after that Kai Bin fell onto the stage. The impact echoed through the space. Dust filled the air. He lay miserably on the ground, missing several teeth. Deep then still stood tall, gripping Kai Bin's ankle tightly. He angrily shouted, "Hurting my family." Deep then slammed Kai Bin's body hard onto the stage. Damn it. He gritted his teeth and slammed him again, twisting truth for lies. Damn it. Deep then tossed Kai Bin left and right. Every word he spoke was followed by Kai Bin's pain. Looking down on others. Damn it. Growing up shameless. Damn it. So Haiyan silently watched Deep then. On the other side he had not yet stopped his rage while torturing Kai Bin. "Seeing you makes me sick. Damn it." Deep then grabbed Kai Bin's leg and spun him around above his head. Then he used all his strength to throw him far away several meters. The referee shouted loudly, "Deep then wins," his whole body without a single scratch, only breathing heavily. Deep then looked down from above at Kai Bin unconscious on the ground and scornfully said, "Fool, this is the price to pay for hurting my family." A golden ring of light appeared together with the referee's voice. Round 1 of the competition ends. Second round begins. He introduced the next disciple, Zhang Hao of Enhan Duongdin. He smiled crookedly and stepped onto the stage. The golden light shone directly on Deep Then's body, showing a very serious face. The referee loudly announced, "Opponent, trainee disciple Deep Then." He angrily shouted, "Hurting my family." Deep then slammed Kai Bin's body hard onto the stage. Damn it. He gritted his teeth and slammed him again, twisting truth for lies. Damn it. Deep then tossed Kai Bin left and right. Every word he spoke was followed by Kai Bin's pain, looking down on others. Damn it. Growing up shameless. Damn it. So Haiyan silently watched Deep then. On the other side he had not yet stopped his rage while torturing Kai Bin. "Seeing you makes me sick. Damn it." Deep then grabbed Kai Bin's leg and spun him around above his head. Then he used all his strength to throw him far away several meters. The referee shouted loudly, "Deep then wins," his whole body without a single scratch, only breathing heavily. Deep then looked down from above at Kai Bin unconscious on the ground and scornfully said, "Fool, this is the price to pay for hurting my family." A golden ring of light appeared together with the referee's voice. Round 1 of the competition ends. Second round begins. He introduced the next disciple, Zhang Hao of Enhan Duongdin. He smiled crookedly and stepped onto the stage. The golden light shone directly on Deep Then's body, showing a very serious face. The referee loudly announced, "Opponent, trainee disciple Deep Then." The disciples of Enhan Duong Peak sitting on the platform were all talking at once. His luck really is bad, continuously facing two great personal disciples. Jiang Hao is no weaker than Don Kai Bin. Deep Then just finished fighting and is weakened. There's no way he can win. Hung Nhi also exclaimed, truly unbelievable. The disciples beside Tam and Gayat from Enhan Duong Peak shouted angrily, get lost to the revival match. Serves you right for being arrogant. She only smiled softly without saying anything. Suo Hyan frowned in frustration. Such odds, and still he could meet this fate. She spoke up. Brat, stop fighting, go to the revival match. Jiang Hao crossed his arms, smiling smugly. You heard that, didn't you, weakling? They told you to go to the revival round, bow your head and admit defeat, and I'll spare your life. Deep Then, provoked, clenched his fists angrily. Who are you calling weak? In his hand was a pill, Hoi Hyan Dan. Jiang Hao waved his fan and said, you think I'll give you time to recover? He unleashed an attack from his fan toward Deep Then. You won't even have a chance to take it. Voengan was surprised by Jiang Hao's opportunistic move, saying, to think the top personal disciple of Enhan Duong Peak would strike when the other is weak. Hao Hyan sneered, afraid to fight fair, lacking the heart of a true warrior, and no faith in his own victory, useless. Suo Hyan just stood silently between the two. Deep Then crouched down to dodge Jiang Hao's attack, gritting his teeth in endurance. As long as I can hold out through this weakened state, I can turn defeat into victory. Jiang Hao raised his fan before his face, smiling wickedly. Let's see how long you can keep dodging. He lifted the fan high into the air, and attacks like falling stars rained down upon Deep Then's position. Deep Then widened his eyes in shock. Not good. The bursts of power kept coming straight for him. He took out a medicinal pill from his spatial ring and clenched it tightly in his palm. Exhausted, he collapsed flat on the ground. Jiang Hao seized the chance and unleashed his move, Tan Duong Kai. Deep Then struggled to evade each burst of energy. Trash, can't even wait for the young master to recover. In the end, too weary to keep resisting, Jiang Hao rushed forward to finish him off. Deep Then lay helpless on the arena floor, breathing heavily, enduring. Just a few more moments, and I'll strike back. The power of Jiang Hao was like dragon, like phoenix, flying to attack Deep Then. Keep running, I let you run. He waved the fan in his hand. The force immediately turned into a whirlwind, wrapping the boy inside. Were you not fast? A voice from the stage shouted loudly. That Jiang guy. Hung Nhi shouted loud to provoke Jiang Hao. Being the leading direct disciple of Enhan Duong Din, you do not even have the courage to fight fair with Deep Then. Do you not feel ashamed? Beating a condensing Kai stage half dead. You really made Enhan Duong Din proud, usually showing off strength. Why now so scared? Those words successfully made him angry. The force of Jiang Hao bound Deep Then tight. The boy shouted full of momentum, then tore it apart. He looked visibly irritated, seeking death. Jiang Hao cut the flesh on his index finger. Blood sprayed everywhere. The fresh red drops fell dripping onto the fan. The strength immediately multiplied tenfold. Die. Deep Then opened wide eyes, surprised. Ultimate move then. He immediately got hit by the deadly strike from Jiang Hao. Deep Then fell kneeling to the arena floor. Mouth kept murmuring, counting. 5, 4. Jiang Hao angrily gritted teeth, still not dead. He released even stronger power than before. The boy kept getting hit, mouth still counting. 3, 2, 1. Deep Then eyes burned fiercely with killing intent. He shouted loud, finally. The power from inside Deep Then body spread across the space. So Hyan was amazed, thinking, good, you actually endured through it. Even if you lose this match, even if you cannot enter inner sect, you already have enough qualification to be my disciple. It was Deep Then turned to strike back. He launched an attack like shooting stars falling toward Jiang Hao. Get out. Dao Hyan looked toward So Hyan said, junior sister, the disciple you chose, a bit crazy. She gently replied, this is not madness, this is the will must win. Deep Then eyes full of anger and desire to win. So Hyan observed and added, invincible fighting spirit. Deep Then unleashed the move, Bon Loi Palm, Jiang Hao was not inferior and cast demonic power to counter Enhan Duong Seal. The two terrifying forces collided, causing both of them to be thrown far away. Jiang Hao fell hard onto the floor, hitting his backside in pain. Meanwhile, Deep Then was still able to stand firm. Both he and Jiang Hao were exhausted, breathing heavily, yet still stared at each other with eyes full of hatred. Then both jumped up again, rushing to fight. Deep Then threw a punch straight into Jiang Hao's face, making him turn his head to one side. Jiang Hao, unwilling to lose, also returned a strong punch to Deep Then's cheek. Ngayat Nhi stood on the stands watching with a serious expression. A trainee disciple at Condensing Kai stage, yet able to make a core disciple's true energy completely drained. What is it that supports you to fight until now? Hung Nhi pouted and shouted, "Damn you, old midwife, if you win this time, I will treat you to wine." Hok Dang, sitting beside, did not spare his praise. This brat did beautifully. Some disciples of Enhan Duong Din, after seeing such an evenly matched battle, seemed unable to believe their eyes. This cannot be, he thought in shock. Deep Then half dead, yet can fight until now against a core disciple and still not lose. Dealing with him later will be even harder. On the stage above, Deep Then kicked Jiang Hao hard, knocking him down. Jiang Hao roared from the ground, shouting loudly, "I don't believe it," again. Then the two of them rushed in, punching each other. Deep Then punched straight into Jiang Hao's face, while Jiang Hao attacked Deep Then's body. Blood splattered uncontrollably. After a thunderous explosion, the dust cleared and everyone saw the arena cracked and broken miserably, while the two lay flat on the floor. The disciples of Enhan Duong Din stood up in shock. Is this a draw? It seems so. Perhaps they don't even have the strength to stand up. Fighting to this level, whoever can stand up will be the winner. Deep Then pressed his hand on the floor. He clenched his teeth, ignoring the pain, and stood up. The referee immediately declared, "Deep Then wins." Deep Then still stood tall on the stage as the results were announced. He wearily closed his eyes tightly. Deep Then staggered as if about to collapse hard onto the floor. Hung Nhi rushed up onto the stage like a god, shouting loudly, "Little divine one." In his fading vision, there was only darkness left, and the last thing he could hear were the panicked cries of everyone around him. Deep Then, when the moon had risen high above the rear courtyard of the Kankan Pavilion, Deep Then, completely exhausted, was resting quietly on his bed. Silent footsteps appeared within his room. The assassin stepped up beside his bed and said, "Let's see if you can survive this time." He grinned wickedly, holding a pill in his hand. The assassin slowly pushed the pill into Deep Then's mouth, then quickly disappeared into the night. Immediately, his body began to react to the pill's effects. Deep Then's expression twisted in pain as low groans escaped his lips. His body floated off the bed, spiritual energy within him continuously bursting outward. Deep Then raised his hand high, clenching his teeth from the agony. He awoke from his long sleep, breathing heavily and muttering in confusion, "Just now, what was that?" The next day, on the arena, an intense battle was taking place. Around the stands, cheers and shouts of praise filled the air. "Great, great!" Hok Dang swung his axe, knocking his opponent flying, and the referee immediately declared, "Hok Dang wins." The disciples stirred in surprise when they saw Deep Then appear in the stands, recovered so quickly. His regenerative ability is just too monstrous. Though his wounds have healed, his breathing still seems weak. He sat down in his seat, and the person next to him called out teasingly, "Brat." The man asked a question that made Deep Then's mouth open wide in astonishment. "Do you possess true fire?" Tao Van sat down, suddenly laughing, asked, probing, "Say it, do you have true fire or not?" Deep Then coldly denied, "No." Before finishing, he stood up, suddenly left. "I find someone to verify for you." Hearing that, the boy panicked, almost pale. "Damn it, wait." He seemed caught red-handed, face drooped. "I have." "So what?" Tao Van, as if achieved goal, smile gradually lost humanity. "Look, admitted already." He sat down, slowly asked, "Then you know alchemy or not?" Deep Then turned tiredly, "Know a little." Tao Van sat hands on waist, turned, asked again, "Can refine two-pattern spirit pill or not?" The boy sighed once. This matter you find too fuck. I cannot. I am just a rookie. Tavan straightforwardly made a plan. No problem. I have pill recipe. Prepare all herbs for you. You just refine randomly is fine. The boy heard and opened mouth unbelievable. You have pill recipe. Speaking with proof, he pulled open inner robe. Here, let you see. The boy admired. You really have. This exactly is soul-nourishing pill. Standing above them watching all the matter. Old Taoist, your disciple Tavan whispering with deep then what? He frowned. Who knows? Looks not a good thing. Suddenly, a circle of power rolled up violently. Outer sect competition round 3 began. 2 beams of light from nowhere shone straight on their seats. Hung Nhi speechless slapped forehead. Damn. Hoke Dang crossed arms sneered. This deep then strength super strong, but luck rotten too. The others frowned cursing. Sinful fate, unlucky kid, this time over. Deep then opponent is Tavan, the top-ranked outer sect. Tavan first direct disciple of Thien Duong Din, real true Yang stage. Today Deep then all meet hard rock. Deep then widened eyes asked back. You are Tavan, the top name outer sect ranking. Tavan calmly as nothing. You did not know. The crowd continuously buzzed discussing. This time he surely must concede right. Could he defy heaven beat Tavan? Impossible. Tavan is true Yang stage. Deep then felt falling into deep pit, scratching head helpless. What karma did I make last life? First Don Kai Bin, then Jang Hao. Fine, those 2 not mention. But Tavan where you popped out. I risked life barely beat Don Kai Bin and Jang Hao, yet still fall into your hand, truly wasted. Yet he leisurely smoked calmly. This all fate, get used to it. Deep then enraged shouted loudly back, get lost. I do not want talk to you. He immediately shrank timid stuttering. Calm, I admit defeat. Deep then sat on the stands crying hard, feeling quite sad inside. Everyone else passed smoothly. Why is it so hard for me? Outer sect competition. More than 1,000 people, just to target only me right. On the other hand Tavan beside him looked very cheerful. I have prepared enough herbs. When will we start refining pills? The irritation that could not be released plus a mouth nagging beside his ear made him angry. Can you let me be quiet for a bit? He also followed not arguing. Fine. Wait a moment. No rush. Suddenly Deep then turned to ask another question. Why do you not find Elder too fuck to refine pills? For him to refine would be as easy as turning his hand. Tavan touched his nose with his finger looking evasive. Well, I am afraid he would hit me. Hearing that reason, he could not hold back and laughed loudly mocking. Sounds like you have stolen not few pills from him, right? He immediately retorted, nonsense, I have never stolen. Obviously Deep then did not easily believe. Only a ghost would believe that. At that moment, Ngayat Nhi kicked and sent her opponent flying. The referee's announcement echoed, T. Ngayat of Lin Dan Pavilion wins. At the same time in another match, the result also came out. Hung Nhi wins. Exclamations of admiration rose. That fat Hung fights quite well. The next winner was announced. Tam Ngayat wins. Next, Hyen Nhi used a full assault move to send the opponent flying. And of course the result was, Luke Hyen Nhi of the Library Pavilion wins. Witnessing these martial contests, Deep then could not help but sigh. There are still quite many talented people in the outer sect. Soon it will be the revival round, must prepare early. At this time Tavan turned and reminded, Hey, did you hear or not? Chin Duong sect appeared one named Hyen Lin Body. He murmured the name again, Hyen Lin Body. According to his words, Hyen Lin Body, a physique favored by heaven, said to be a branch of divine bloodline, they are born with spiritual talent, have terrifying recovery ability. Within their bloodline hides mysterious Tao techniques. Once awakened, it is a great treasure. The terrifying thing of the true Hyen Lin Body lies in that those who have that bloodline may draw the power of heaven and earth. That is the privilege only those in Kong Min realm have. Hearing that, Deep then frowned, thinking endlessly. 2,000 years ago in Dai, so had once appeared a Hyen Lin Body. Relying on cultivation of Lin Hu realm caused a great shock to Dai so. Unexpected that after 2,000 years, Dai so again once more appears a Hyen Lin Body. Moreover, in our own Chin Duong sect. Ta Van raised the wine jug drinking while mumbling. Heard the name seems to be Koen Gung Suong. This name never heard before. The name sounded made him a bit surprised. Koen Gung Suong. Deep then pondered to digest the information. She actually is a Haiyan Lin body. Recently awakened or what? Why earlier did not notice any trace? No wonder her cultivation progressed so fast. He wiped his mouth with his hand. Eyes indifferent mentioned about Ngong Suong. If speaking of this Koen Gung Suong, really frightening. He added, heard that in the outer sect competition of Chin Duong sect, she forcibly broke into the inner sect. Ta Van told again, in the inner sect. One palm strike made 9 main disciples of Chin Duong sect spit blood. Her fierce posture needless to say. He sighed, indeed has quite a high evaluation about her ability. Haiyan Lin body. Seeing this advantage, in the competition between 3 sects 1 month later, Chin Duong sect again will suppress Hang En Hak and Than Van sect. As I know, inner sect main disciples of Hang En Hak. Really hard to find one who can face her. Hearing that, Deep then pressed his lips tight, looking like had something to say but did not speak out, only silently repeated her name, Koen Gung Suong. His face